Alrighty guys, and welcome back to another video right here on TetraBitGaming. So Super Mario Maker 2 is finally out, and I'm having a great time with it. Super Mario Maker 1 was one of my favorite games of all time, and this sequel is certainly on its way to replace it. Is it perfect? Heck no. As much as I love this game, there are still several things players do and things about the game itself that are less than stellar, at least as of the time of making this video. So just like I did several years ago, I'm going to be going over my top 5 things that I think suck in Super Mario Maker 2. And with all of that said, let's-a go! Okay, first let's start off with the obvious one, Super Mario Maker 2's online modes. Yes, I know that a way to play online with friends is planned to come in a future update, but as it stands, the co-op and versus multiplayer modes are just so mediocre, at least from what I've played anyway. The absolute #1 biggest problem with it is of course the lag. And that's again just the result of Nintendo relying on peer-to-peer connections. Even if 1 out of the 4 players in a game has a bad connection, basically everyone suffers for it. And suffer for it they do. Out of all of the co-op and versus games I played, definitely the majority of them were abysmally laggy, or the lobby was just straight up closed due to a connection error. Man, could you imagine if we had to pay for this service? Even with the connection problems aside, I just find the modes themselves pretty lackluster. Sure, they're kinda cool at first, but just playing with or against random players fails to entice me to keep going. Now this is mostly because in both co-op and versus, you only get to play with a group once before the game finds you a new group to play with. So with no voice chat, or any way to build any sort of relationship with the other players since you lose them after just 1 level, it's really hard to effectively cooperate or compete. Like honestly, at this point, the other players in these modes might as well be computer players, as I probably wouldn't even feel much of a difference. I'm sure I'm not alone in saying the update to play with friends can't come soon enough. Next up are several issues I have with the newly added clear conditions. Now don't get me wrong, I really do like the addition of the clear conditions and I think they add depth to some courses. That said, several things with it leave me scratching my head. The biggest problem I have is that you can't add checkpoints to a course with clear conditions. I mean, I guess I can see instances where it could be used to cheese a level, like if you needed X amount of coins, got to the checkpoint, died, and then just recollected some more coins. But even something like that is super specific, and I'm sure for the most part, allowing checkpoints in courses with clear conditions would be way more beneficial than harmful. More often than not, I found myself in a very long or difficult level that I'll get pretty far in, but will have to collect X amount of coins or kill Y amount of Koopas all over again when I die close to the end. And also, one of the things I really don't like is that when failing a clear condition, instead of just instantly restarting, the game keeps going as if nothing happened. Well, I know it notifies you if you fail, but I guess I'm not very attentive, as several times I've forgotten about or just didn't notice the clear conditions, and I'll get to the end goal just to find out I missed something. And I also get that it might be good to keep exploring the level even after you fail the clear condition, but honestly I'd rather it just end as soon as you fail. Lastly, it's more so a small gripe I have rather than a problem, but it's just weird how there are several clear conditions seen in the story mode that just aren't present in the course maker, such as climbing a certain amount of trees or escorting a toad to the end of the course. These things are already in the game, so why not just let creators implement them too? But who knows, maybe we'll get some of them in a future update.
Hey guys, Tall Splash here. You remember me? You know, that one guy from the previous video 3 years ago with the voice that some of you really didn't seem to care for? No? Well, I'm back again to reprise my role for just a bit. So a big part of Super Mario Maker 2 is, well, obviously making courses. Thankfully the UI was cleaned up and everything is way more organized and better in this game. And although making levels with the Switch portably is great, doing so in dock mode is just suboptimal. The controls just feel so clunky all over the place and they're not really intuitive. You constantly have to switch between using the pointer and navigating the UI, so until you get a good grasp of all the button shortcuts, it can be pretty confusing.
Yeah, honestly, playing in docked mode sometimes really makes me miss the Wii U gamepad. Now, I'm no game dev and I have no idea how possible this could be, but I think it would be a really cool solution to have the ability to connect a second Switch console as a controller to use its touchscreen for playing the game in docked mode. It would certainly make both creating levels and typing in stage IDs way easier. Now, some people might not care as much that the Amiibo costumes haven't been brought back into Super Mario Maker 2, but I for one really miss them. Not only was it really cool to see all of the different characters remade into the classic 8-bit style, but these characters also made it possible to make themed levels that much better. So it's a real shame that we may never see Metroid or Zelda or other themed stages quite the same way again in Super Mario Maker 2. Again, I'm no game dev, so I can't exactly speak on how easy they would be to bring back into this game, but I assume this game was made on the same engine. So aside from all the licensed costumes from the last game, which are a whole other issue, like Shaun the Sheep, the other costumes should be able to be brought over pretty seamlessly, I imagine. Furthermore, I think the Amiibo costume system was one of the best Amiibo implementations ever. You could use them to quickly unlock all the costumes you had, or if you didn't have some or just weren't interested in spending more money on Amiibo, you could also just earn the costumes by playing through some 100 Mario challenges. It's weird because Amiibo are still being released, but it just seems like they're getting less and less useful in games. And this removal is another unfortunate example of that shift. And last, but certainly not least, are the notoriously bad hot garbage courses, or HGCs if you will. I get it. The whole point of this game is for anyone to be able to make courses regardless of skill level. But come on, there can't be many people out there who enjoy garbage like leaps of faith into an unknown area just to find out there's a door way off screen on a single tile. Guessing and checking which pipe out of 30 is the right one and doesn't actually lead you straight to your spicy death. And of course, everyone's favorite, soft locks. Yeah, gotta love playing through a level, getting a checkpoint, and then getting stuck in an area with no escape other than ending it all by restarting the level. Amazing. And of course, there are levels like these, which either have no semblance of sanity or are entirely just impossible without knowing exactly where the creator hid a dev exit. Now, these types of levels I like to categorize under awful, steaming, spicy, hot garbage courses, or ass HGCs for short. Any of these levels always get an instant boo from me. Get that out of my face. I understand, these are unfortunately inevitable in a game of this nature, and there is no stopping the hot garbage once it begins its spread. But I guess sometimes you gotta take the good with the bad, no matter how spicy it may get. And there you have it guys, 5 things that I think are less than groovy in Super Mario Maker 2, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to slap a like down below, it really helps me out a lot. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my previous video about Super Mario Maker 1 and the rest of my Super Mario Maker videos by clicking on the card right here. I'm sure you'll enjoy them as well. And of course, a special thank you to Mr. Tallest Flash for coming back for another go 3 years later. Lastly, if you want to stay even more up to date and support the channel, be sure to subscribe here, check out my merch, and of course swing by my Instagram and other social media things, which will all be linked in the description below. But as always guys, thank you all so much for watching today and for all of your amazing support, and I will see you in a bit.